Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Sunday week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. The three games we got on tap for this episode are Commanders versus Falcons, Seahawks versus Bengals, and Panthers versus Dolphins. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Washington Commanders, who should be utilizing the short passing game going forward to try to keep Sam Howell upright, because man, that dude has taken one too many sacks. So in a win over the Falcons, the Commanders made good use of the short passing game. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson each recorded a touchdown reception. Curtis Samuel also caught a touchdown pass. Terry McLaurin finished the game as the only Commanders pass catcher who averaged more than 13 yards per catch. But Howell's ability to get the ball out quickly helped the offense finish drives on short fields. Washington should feature more in the short passing game in combination with the rushing attack to keep Howell upright. Through the first 5 weeks, he's taken the most sacks in the NFL at 29, and the Falcons sacked him 5 more times on Sunday. Going forward, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy should want to protect Howell with a game plan that emphasizes the run game and includes quick strike passing plays. So again, he doesn't get sacked as much, because he takes that many hits, he's bound to get hurt. Now, you do have a capable backup in Jacoby Brissett, so he should be okay in the event of an injury, but let's be honest, you don't want an injury to your guy, you want to keep him upright. Atlanta Falcons. So I think to be expected, growing pains continued for Desmond Ridder here, and give credit to Atlanta that they're sticking with him. I think they're well aware of the fact that yes, Desmond Ridder there's going to be some ups and downs with Desmond Ridder. So for now, job doesn't seem like it's in jeopardy. Taylor Heineke hasn't taken any snaps this season, but if the Falcons continue to roll with Ridder, they'll ride the roller coaster with its ups and downs in his development. Coming off a game last week in which he threw for a season-high 329 yards and a touchdown, this week he throws for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. On a positive note, Ridder continues to move the ball through the air, finding Drake London and Kyle Pitts, but he threw 2 of his 3 interceptions on the Commanders' side of the field. Keep in mind that for Ridder, this was his 10th career start, so there's still a lot of room for growth, but yeah, so he still has a lot of room for growth. The Falcons have to take the good with the bad with their second-year single power and hope he learns from his crucial mistakes. So yeah, the Falcons, even though so Ridder didn't have the grit. What am I trying to say here? So there were some early calls earlier on in the season, not that long ago, for Ridder's job, or I guess his job was called into question. The Falcons stuck with him because, again, they know that the growing pains are to be expected, and he bounced back after those comments about his job and had probably his best game of the season, and then he kind of took a step back a little bit in this game, but it doesn't seem like the Falcons it seems like the Falcons are going to continue to stick with them and just deal with the growing pains or continue to ride that roller coaster. Seattle Seahawks. DK Metcalf. He is not involved enough in this offense, and the Seahawks jumped out to a solid 3-2 start to the season, but they can push their offense into the next gear, into the top 5 in scoring and top 10 in total yards with more consistency in the passing game. Through week 5, the Seahawks ranked 15th in passing yards per contest. DK Metcalf has had fewer than 5 receptions in 4 of 6 contests. He's eclipsed 75 receiving yards in only 1 game this season. On Sunday, Metcalf allowed his frustrations to get the better of him again. For the second time this season, he shoved an opposing defender. Smith and Metcalf, along with the offensive coordinator, what is his name? Shane Waldron, I think is his name. I guess we don't need to have a conversation about how to get DK Metcalf more involved in the offense. He's one of your best players too. Why would you not want to get him involved? And I think he's your highest paid receiver, because I know you signed him to a contract extension not that long ago, so you're paying for the guy, you might as well utilize him. Cincinnati Bengals, primed and ready for a midseason run, and you can thank a healthier Joe Burrow for that. On Sunday, the Bengals defense closed down a tight victory with fourth down stop, but the most important thing for the club was Joe Burrow looking more like himself in consecutive weeks. Last week, he had his best passing performance, throwing for 317, 3 touchdowns and an interception, and he followed that up with a showing that should put Bengals fans and everybody else was a Joe Burrow fan at ease. On a play before halftime, Burrow showed his mobility on an extended scramble that resulted in a completion. Forget the final box score numbers and pay attention to the way he played. The Bengals single collar looks more comfortable and confident in and out of the pocket, which puts Cincinnati in a good spot heading into its Week 7 bye. So, rough start to the season for the Bengals, but they got themselves in a good spot going into the bye, and Joe Burrow, as I talked about, continues to look better and better, and coming out of the bye, he should be practically as close to 100%, if not 100%, and expect the Bengals to take off from there. Carolina Panthers, rough season for the Panthers, but good news, Bryce Young is coming along. So at 0-6, the Panthers won't be winning many games this season. They might even finish with a worse record and not have the number 1 overall pick to show for it because they traded that pick to the Bears for Bryce Young. Though it doesn't seem like it now because of the big 0 in the win column, Young has made some strides since his Week 4 return from an ankle injury. In his first 2 starts, he threw for 297 yards combined, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Over his last 3 starts, he's thrown for 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and topped 203 passing yards in each of those contests. So there is also a report stating the Panthers want a number 1 caliber wide receiver, and if they are able to acquire one before the trade deadline, that should help Young continue to develop. As the Panthers, they're going to be hanging out in the NFC South basement this season, so they'll take their wins where they can get them, and having Bryce Young come along is one thing, getting him another weapon in the passing game is another. Miami Dolphins, run game continues to shine, but doesn't get talked about enough. Though Tua Tagovailoa has put on an aerial fireworks show with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, perhaps more attention should be paid to the Dolphins' running game, which ranked number 1 in yards per contest through the first 5 weeks of the season. Mike McDaniel has turned a bottom 8 rushing offense into the league's best in less than a year through 5 weeks, where he tied Christian McCaffrey for the most rushing touchdowns. On Sunday against the Panthers, he registered 17 carries for 115 yards. 2 scores, tacking on 3 receptions for 17 yards and a touchdown. With Devon Achane on injury reserve for knee injury, Mostert will have the backfield all to himself, and even without Achane, the Dolphins' running game continues to be efficient and effective. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.